cry out for peace.
Well, hello Dragon Ball Super fans, it's Samakan here. I am back, as you guys can see by the title of this video, and a very exciting topic to discuss with you guys. A very interesting battle indeed, a fight that has so many fans wishing that time would just fly by so that we would get to witness that episode firsthand. And we're talking about none other than Goku in his new godlike transformation, battling it out with the Universe's 11 warrior Jiren. That there's a huge fuss going on about right now. This is the fighter that seemingly will be dominating the Tournament of Power. We got introduced to this guy when Goku was fighting Toppo in the preliminary stages of the Tournament of Power. It was sort of a test run to kind of see where everybody stands in terms of power, see which universe will be more challenging to defeat, and which universe will be the first to go. And in which case, Universe 9 was the first universe that got to say goodbye, not only to the Tournament of Power, but also mainly to their existence. So, the stakes are very high for this tournament, unlike anything we've seen in the past. You feel the pressure here. It is undeniably there, nobody can refute that. And when Zeno went on ahead and actually erased that universe, you could see that that's when things really got dark, and essentially everybody somewhat realized that this is happening right now, because when you're fighting, you know, your mind might in a way go off and go a random tangent. When you're fighting, I'm presuming that your mind is somewhat free, you forget what's going on, but this is something that kind of suddenly wakes you up and you get to realize that the stakes are indeed very high and there really is no joke here. You're fighting to survive and you need to have that in your mind very strongly. So that was in a recent episode. But what I wanted to also briefly mention is that before I proceed, I wanted to say that you guys can like my Facebook page, as well as follow me on both Twitter and Instagram. All of those links, you can find them down in my description. You guys can do so. If you would be capable of liking my Facebook page or follow me on Twitter and all that, I'd be grateful beyond words. I cannot begin to express my gratitude. I want to thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart for being there for so long. I wouldn't be doing this if you guys were not around, so definitely thank you for, in a way, giving me voice and giving meaning to what I have to say, and possibly, I guess in a way, what I say matters somewhat, I'd imagine. So that makes me so happy. You guys cannot believe how just ecstatic and excited I am, and basically happy that you guys are there, and basically we can discuss about Super all the time and get feedback, see what you guys feel like, and basically experience the show together. It's a very unique experience, something that if YouTube was not around, this wouldn't have been possible. So we got only YouTube to thank for forming this huge Dragon Ball home, and it is a very beautiful home, definitely. But I'm digressing. That's something that I briefly wanted to mention. So going back to episode 82, it was the very first time that we discovered that a being called Jiren exists, and if anything is a lot more powerful than Toppo. And if Goku thinks that he will be dominating the Tournament of Power, I mean, he's definitely tricked, because somebody called Jiren is a lot more powerful than Toppo, and he has a different say in all of this. He'll be definitely, in a way, Toppo implied that Jiren will be capable of handling him. And if you've been keeping up with the recent episodes of Super, you know exactly what Toppo meant. And I mean, holy cow, Jiren. I mean, I was expecting that we would get to see somebody that would be really the OP guy of the tournament, but never in my wildest dreams I'd imagine that somebody would be participating, and that not only would he be more powerful than the god of destruction of his respectful universe, but this is a fighter that possesses such devastating force, such a strong presence, my god. I can't even begin to imagine how Goku was possibly going to be capable of defeating him. That's why you see in the title, essentially, that Jiren finally finds an opponent, and that opponent is only going to be credible enough if Goku unleashes more power, if he transforms, essentially. That is the only way that I can see Goku challenging, truly, the fighter called Jiren, because this guy is in a completely different league. It's almost unfair that he's participating. That's how powerful this guy is. So, then moving in and fast forward to a few episodes later, we get to see him in flesh. I don't recall if we had seen prior to his appearance in Super the new opening from Limit Breaker that basically showcased this battle scene of Goku Super Saiyan Blue against Jiren. And there you have it. The opening itself didn't hint on the fact that a warrior would come, that he'd be this strong, because if you judge the opening theme and the way that Goku is battling Jiren, you can understand that he's somebody really strong, but never you would anticipate that he'd be a lot more powerful than a Super Saiyan Blue, because in the opening, Goku is in his Super Saiyan Blue form and he's somewhat successfully exchanging blows with this guy. But I guess maybe they didn't want to, right off the bat, in a way, expose his true power, I suppose. So, that's the only reasonable explanation I can think of. And then, of course, episode 96 comes into play, the moment that somewhat solidified hype for me. If you could have seen my reaction, you would understand exactly what I mean. And I believe it was the episode where we fully appreciated that this guy is truly on a completely different level. He is definitely giving a new meaning in the term powerful, because this guy is powerful in a very different manner. He is a lot more powerful than what any of us would have predicted. I cannot stress out enough the fact that this guy right here has exceeded all of our expectations, and if anybody is saying the opposite, he's lying. He is a flat-out liar. I cannot believe that anybody would have expected that somebody would be at that level in the Tournament of Power. I'm still having a hard time actually digesting the fact that Jiren is this strong. So, in episode 96, basically, Jiren somewhat demonstrated his speed abilities, because at an instant he appeared before Goku, and it took quite some time in order for Goku to register with what's going on. The fact that he was a strong Goku was hardly even capable of keeping up with his movements. He's really fast. So, and then of course episode 100, a very controversial episode with Kale being in that berserker mode and basically tanking a Kamehameha wave by a Super Saiyan Blue Goku. That has the community split into half. There is a part that loved that scene, but there are a lot of people that are mad with Super right now, because I'm not gonna lie, and I'm not necessarily planning to get into this argument right now, but it definitely doesn't make a lot of sense that Kale would have been capable of basically using Goku as a ragdoll in that episode and essentially cleaning house with him, because she was hulking him in that episode we saw, but he was in a Super Saiyan 2 mode, so I could understand that. But I feel like any godlike form that Goku possesses, it shouldn't have been any problem in a way, I suppose, dealing with somebody that is at a Super Saiyan-like level, because there really was no, explanation as to what that form that Kale ascended to is. We know that it's this berserker mode where Kale loses it, and it is definitely reminiscing of this Broly-like legendary form. The only way that this would make sense is if Kale possesses godlike abilities in that form, but there's nowhere explicitly stating that that is indeed the case, and I believe partially the reason that the community is so upset is that I believe that if they had given us a reasoning as to why that is, then it would make a lot of more sense. But it really is somewhat annoying that Kale is capable of tanking that Kamehameha wave. I guess there's nothing that you really can do, you gotta go with what's going. Toei Animation really wanted to establish Kale as being really powerful, and they thought that the best way to do so would be by, in a way, walking through a Kamehameha wave, and if that was not enough, she actually lifted up Goku with one hand, and she was choking him. Manhandling somebody like Goku like that in the Super Saiyan Blue form, it is like somewhat, again, like I said, somewhat irritating, but they wanted for us to fully understand that Kale really is that strong in a berserker mode, and she's a true prodigy, and that I can accept, but I'm not gonna lie, I do have my issues with that scene. I'm not gonna lie though, the very first time I watched it, I was so hyped, and you can see that if you go back and see my review of that episode, but kind of seeing the reaction of the community and watching that again, I can understand where people are coming from when they're upset, but that is it about that. I'm not gonna go into detail. The fact is that scene played in beautifully because Toei Animation wanted to make perfectly clear who is going to be the absolute mega boss in this colossal war that we're witnessing, this Tournament of Power. Jiren comes in like a complete badass and knocks Kale out cold. He knocked her out of her Super Saiyan Berserker mode, and she was unconscious after that. Can you guys understand that Kale actually got knocked out with one blow by Jiren? That is absolute bunkers. That is crazy, guys. I cannot stress out enough just how insane that scene was. And that essentially drives me back to the original point of this video, which is the new Super Saiyan transformation, or Super Saiyan God form, excuse me, that Goku will seemingly receive in Super. We've seen a sneak peek of that in the opening theme of Super. By the way, I wanted to briefly mention that the fight of Goku and Kale, and the way that she was capable of walking through the Kamehameha wave, they wanted to pay tribute to the Broly movie. It was plainly obvious that they were doing that. I just wish that there was a little bit more explaining as to why Kale is this strong. So Goku will seemingly receive this new form. It has been teased through a picture that was released from Japan, somewhat hinting Goku's back and the fact that he means business. He is very serious about it. He's going for blood, from what you guys can understand. We see this new godlike aura emerge. We do not see his facial expression, but we do know that he's up against a very devastating force. The most devastating one yet, I would say. A very badass fighter. He almost feels as if though he's a collage of all the villains we've seen into one individual, and him being Jiren. I believe they're making it perfectly clear that this is potentially going to be the final showdown of the Tournament of Power. I can hardly wait. I wish that I could see it right now, even though that is impossible. But, you know, the hype train is definitely here. Goku achieving a new form in the tournament. Just so much going on, just wreaking havoc all over the place. I'm loving it. I'm loving every second of it. And I'm not gonna lie, Jiren is a very strong presence indeed. A very intimidating person. You can hardly tell what he feels like. And I love when they introduce a guy like that in Dragon Ball. It would seem that Jiren is the ideal type of persona that just fits the Dragon Ball criteria so much that it hurts, actually. But that is it for me, guys. I believe that Jiren is definitely found an opponent only if Goku has a new transformation, because he doesn't stand a single chance against a god like Jiren at this point. I don't know what he'd would be capable of doing against Jiren. I'm kind of doubting that he'd be capable of beating him, but definitely not even a Kaioken times 100, I believe, would be sufficient. into successfully defeating this guy. You need a new form, and even with a new transformation, I am still not positive if Goku will be capable of defeating him. Can you guys imagine? Just take a moment to digest what this guy did in episode 100. Goku was having trouble with Kale. If anything, he seemed as if though he was at her mercy, and this guy straight up, defeated Kale in one blow, and he didn't even try. That wasn't a fight. That was a complete execution of just amazing skill. So there's nothing left for me to say. I'm quite speechless. Let me guys know how you feel. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please go ahead and hit this video up with a like. Share the video, share my channel so that more fans of Super can get to see my channel. And if you are a fan, as always, do not forget to subscribe to my channel for more awesome daily content. But I'm Sam, guys, signing off here. Ciao, adios, goodbye.